The chill of betrayal snaked through me as I returned her engagement ring, right there, in front of her new man. All she saw was a broken fiancé walking away, clueless to the multi-million-dollar corporate espionage scheme I'd just unearthed. She thought I was simply devastated. How wrong she was. I was about to dismantle her entire world. The look on her face when her powerful father uttered my name in that boardroom, priceless. That's how I turned betrayal into the best decision of my life. My name is Jason Hartley, 37 years old, and until recently, I was engaged to a woman I believed was my future. For a decade, I'd built a reputation as a top-tier financial analyst at Mercer Capital. Millions flowed through my fingers daily, handled with precision and care. Funny how those skills failed me in my personal life. That Tuesday began like any other. My pre-dawn 5-mile run, a quick shower, and a kiss goodbye to Brooke. I remember thinking how serene she looked, her dark hair a spill of ink across the pillow like a painting. "Hartley," my boss's voice boomed from his office doorway. "Got a minute?" Richard Everett was built like a retired linebacker, his handshake capable of crushing bone. "Westlake account's yours," he stated, sliding a file across his mahogany desk. "Presentation Friday. Make it stellar." I nodded firmly. "It will be impeccable, sir." "And one more thing." Richard leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Walter Winters called, wants to discuss investment options. Specifically requested you." My pulse quickened. Walter Winters, Brooke's father and a real estate magnate, had always regarded me with a skeptical eye, gauging my worthiness of his daughter. "Said his daughter speaks highly of your financial acumen," Richard added, a knowing lift in his brow. "I'll arrange a meeting immediately," I replied, straightening. Later that day, I left work early, intending to surprise Brooke with her favorite vintage and those ridiculously expensive imported cheeses she adored. A small velvet box nestled in my pocket, containing diamond earrings to complement her engagement ring, early anniversary gifts. Our colonial-style house was shrouded in darkness when I arrived. No lights, no Brooke, no greeting. The silence felt wrong, heavy with unspoken meaning. In the kitchen, a hastily scribbled note lay on the counter. "Meeting Haley for drinks. Don't wait up. B." Haley was her sister. They weren't close. Something didn't add up. I noticed Brooke's laptop open on the counter, unusual for someone so obsessed with privacy. I hesitated for a full minute before glancing at the screen. Her email was open, revealing a thread with someone named Derek, a colleague from that conference she'd attended. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same hotel. I've missed your touch so much." I froze, the air in my lungs turning to ice. My military training kicked in. Stay calm, assess. My gaze drifted to a bank statement lying beside the laptop. A $5,000 transfer from our joint account to a D. Caldwell yesterday. My phone buzzed. Walter Winters' name flashed across the screen. "Hartley," his gruff voice barked. "Those confidential investment documents in your home office, Brooke took them. I need them back immediately. They're worth millions to the right people." The floor seemed to drop out from under me. It all clicked into place, forming a horrifying picture. I stood in our kitchen, staring at the phone, Walter Winters' voice still echoing in my ears. My military past took over. Assess the situation, formulate a plan, execute with precision. "I'm on it immediately, sir," I replied, my voice betraying none of the turmoil raging inside. "You damn well better be, Hartley." Walter's tone was cold steel. "Those documents contain sensitive acquisition plans. In the wrong hands, they're worth millions." I ended the call and headed straight for my home office. The safe behind the bookshelf was ajar, something I never left undone. Inside, the folder labeled Project Westlake Acquisition was gone. So was the USB drive containing the backup of my presentation. A wave of fury threatened to engulf me, but I clamped down on it. Emotions cloud judgment. Clarity was what I needed now, more than ever. I accessed our joint bank account from my secure laptop. 5 separate transfers to a D. Caldwell in the last month totaled $27,000, nearly our entire wedding fund. My jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. I reached for my phone and stopped. No emotional confrontations. That's what she expected. Anger, accusations, pleas for explanations. Not this time. Instead, I called my brother Greg, a former Marine like me. "I need a favor," I said when he answered. "Name it," Greg responded instantly. Brothers forged in the crucible of combat needed no lengthy explanations. "Text me if you see Brooke's car at the Grand Hotel downtown. I have a feeling she's there." "Everything all right?" "No, but it will be. I'll explain later." Then I called my bank and froze her access to our joint accounts. The bank employee asked if there was fraudulent activity. "Yes," I replied. "There is." I walked into our bedroom and opened the safe in the closet, where I kept the 3-carat engagement ring I'd planned to upgrade for our anniversary. The velvet box felt heavy in my palm. I slipped it into my jacket pocket and changed into a fresh black shirt and trousers. My phone buzzed. A text from Greg. "Black BMW in the Grand Hotel parking garage. Confirmed." My pulse remained steady as I packed a go bag with essentials. Not fleeing, regrouping. A strategic retreat before a counterattack. As I headed for the door, the phone rang again. Brooke. I declined the call, letting it go to voicemail. Seconds later, her text arrived. "Hey babe, running late with Haley. Don't wait up, love you." That casual lie solidified something cold and hard within me. I texted Greg, "Need another favor? Room number?" 10 minutes later, his reply came, "Room 840, registered to a Derek Caldwell. They just ordered champagne." I drove downtown, parking a block from the hotel. The engagement ring in my pocket felt like a grenade with the pin pulled. No longer a symbol of love, but a statement waiting to be made. The Grand Hotel lobby was all marble and crystal, a place where wealth whispered, not shouted. I approached the concierge desk with military bearing, sliding a $100 bill across the polished surface. "I'd like to surprise my fiancée," I said, my smile not reaching my eyes. "She's having drinks with a business associate in room 840. Could you deliver this to her with a special message?" The young concierge glanced at the small velvet box and smiled. "Of course, sir. What message would you like to include?" "Just write, 'I know, goodbye.'" I didn't wait in the lobby. I had no desire to watch the unfolding drama from a distance. Instead, I settled into the hotel bar with a clear view of the elevators. I ordered a neat whiskey but didn't touch it. 20 minutes later, my phone vibrated with a text from the concierge. "Delivered, sir." Then, all hell broke loose. The elevator doors flew open and Brooke stumbled out, still fastening her dress, mascara streaking her tear-stained cheeks. Behind her emerged a tall man in a rumpled suit, Derek Caldwell, I presumed. He grabbed her arm. "Brooke, calm down," he said, loud enough for others to hear. "It's probably just a misunderstanding." She whirled on him. A misunderstanding? He knows everything. And then she saw me, sitting calmly at the bar. Her face shifted from panic to calculation in a heartbeat. I stood, straightened my tie, and walked towards them with measured steps. No rush, no anger, just controlled purpose. "Jason," she whispered, instantly switching to victim mode. "It's not what it looks like." "Enough," I cut her off, my voice low and steady. "The documents you stole from my office, where are they?" Derek stepped forward, trying to intimidate. "Look, buddy, maybe we should discuss this privately." I fixed him with a gaze that had made hardened men in war zones back down. "The only reason you're still standing is because we're in a public place. Step aside." He blinked first. "The documents, Brooke," I repeated. "In the safe in my hotel room," she whispered, deflating. "Jason, please, if you'd just let me explain." "Your father needs those documents by morning," I stated, "and I need my $27,000 back." Those transfers to Mr. Caldwell were not authorized. Derek paid for the transfers? Brooke, you said that money was from your trust fund. Her facade crumbled completely. I was going to put it back after you closed the deal with my father's competitors. Enough. I stopped her with a raised hand. Your father already knows. The question is, do you want to tell him yourself, or will he hear it from me at our meeting tomorrow? You wouldn't dare, she hissed, her true colors finally showing. I gave her a cold smile. Try me. I turned to leave, but Derek grabbed my shoulder. Big mistake. In one fluid motion, I twisted his arm behind his back and slammed him against the wall, applying just enough pressure to elicit a gasp. The money, the documents. By noon tomorrow, I whispered in his ear, or your little corporate espionage ring becomes a police matter. I released him and walked away, not looking back. The ring was no longer in my pocket. I spent the night at a hotel across town, waking before dawn to call Walter Winters. I know where your documents are, I said when he answered, and I know who took them. A heavy silence on the other end. My office, 8 more a.m. The Winters building dominated the downtown skyline, 52 stories of glass and steel. Walter's office occupied the top floor, the views a constant reminder to anyone who entered just how high he stood above them. He was waiting when I arrived, looking older than his 60 years. You don't seem surprised, he observed as I sat across from him. I stopped being surprised when I saw the bank transfers, I replied. Walter nodded grimly. How much? 27,000. He opened a desk drawer and pulled out a checkbook. I'll cover it. I shook my head. It's not about the money. Then what is it about? The truth, I said. How long have you known about Brooke and Caldwell? About the corporate espionage? Walter's expression hardened. 3 weeks. My security team flagged unusual meetings between Brooke and representatives from Archer Capital, our main competitor. When we tracked Caldwell, we found he was selling them sensitive information. And you didn't warn me? I needed to know if you were involved, he admitted. I leaned forward. And now? Now, I need your help, Walter said, his voice tight. Those documents aren't just acquisition plans. They contain evidence of financial malfeasance at Archer Capital, evidence the SEC would be very interested in if Caldwell hands it over. A knock on the door interrupted us. Walter's assistant entered. Sir, your daughter is here. Walter's eyes met mine. Ready to finish this? I nodded. For me, it's already finished. Brooke walked in, still wearing the same clothes as yesterday. Her face was a perfect mask of contrition that didn't quite reach her eyes. Dad, she began, I can explain everything. Walter held up a hand, cutting her off. Jason knows everything, and so do I. Her eyes widened as she realized we'd spoken, then narrowed as she began to calculate her next move. The documents and the money, I said quietly. Now. Brooke looked from her father to me. Her carefully constructed composure finally cracked. The documents? Walter demanded, his voice like granite. They're in my purse, she confessed, pulling out a manila envelope. But Dad, you have to understand. Derek said it was just business intelligence, nothing illegal. Walter took the envelope, dismissing her excuses with a wave of his hand. He scanned the contents, confirming everything was there, then looked at me. The money? I asked. I don't have it, Brooke snapped, a hint of desperation in her voice. Derek invested it. Invested it where? I interrupted. She looked away. In his gambling debts. Everything clicked into place. Not just corporate espionage. Caldwell was desperate. A desperate man preying on a spoiled woman who thought she could buy affection. Walter made a phone call. Security to my office and call the police. He hung up and turned to his daughter. The Westlake documents could have destroyed this company, everything I've built. I didn't know, she protested weakly. You knew, I said softly. Just like you knew about the transfers from our joint account. Walter looked at me with something akin to respect. "What are your plans now, Jason?" Before I could answer, the door burst open, and Derek Caldwell stormed in, his face contorted with rage. "You lying bitch!" he snarled at Brooke. "You said your father would pay us off." I stepped between them, adopting a defensive stance. Not another step closer. Derek pulled something from under his jacket, a glinting box cutter, likely grabbed in desperation. Not a serious weapon, but dangerous in desperate hands. "Back off," I warned. "You know what you promised me?" Derek sneered, waving the makeshift weapon. "Millions, and now I'm left holding the bag." He lunged, not for me, but for Brooke. My reaction was instantaneous, deflecting his arm and using his momentum to throw him off balance. The box cutter clattered to the floor as I pinned him down, my knee pressing firmly between his shoulder blades. "Security's on their way," I said calmly as he writhed beneath me. "Save your energy for explaining the corporate espionage charges." Walter stood protectively in front of his daughter, despite everything. "Are you all right?" he asked me, as security guards flooded the office. I stood, straightening my tie as they led Derek away. It's been a worse Tuesday. After the police took their statements, Walter dismissed Brooke. She made one last attempt to reach me. "Jason, please, we can work this out," she whispered, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. "We already have," I said as the door closed behind her. Walter sank into his leather chair. "I owe you an apology, Jason, and my gratitude." "You owe me nothing," I replied. "Nevertheless," he said, opening his desk drawer, "the chief investment officer position just became available. The board meets this afternoon." I raised an eyebrow. "Isn't that your son-in-law's position?" "Ex-son-in-law," Walter corrected. "The position is yours if you want it." I didn't accept Walter's offer immediately. I needed time to process, to digest everything that had happened. I took a week's leave, renting a cabin on Lake Tahoe, the same place my brother Greg and I had fished as teenagers. The mountains offered a clarity the city never could. On the third day, hiking along a ridge, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Jason Hartley speaking," I answered. "Mr. Hartley, this is Detective Ramirez from the Financial Crimes Unit. We've completed our preliminary investigation into Derek Caldwell." "And?" I prompted, pausing to watch an eagle circle above the pines. "Sir, we recovered approximately $18,000 of your funds. The rest was lost to gambling." It wasn't about the money anymore, but I appreciated the information. "What about the corporate espionage charges?" "Mr. Caldwell is cooperating, hoping for leniency. He's named several individuals at Archer Capital who were paying for the Westlake information." After the call, I sat on a sun-warmed rock, contemplating my options. Walter's offer would mean working closely with the family that had fractured my trust. Complicated, but a significant career leap. My phone rang again. This time it was Brooke. I almost declined the call, but curiosity won out. "Hello, Brooke." "Jason," her voice was subdued. "I heard about the offer for my ex-husband's position." Ex-husband? That was news to me. "We separated months ago," she confessed. "Divorce will be finalized next week." It wasn't working even before Derek. I let the silence stretch, unwilling to offer her any easy absolution. "I know it doesn't change anything," she continued. "But I wanted you to know it wasn't about you. I was lost." "And now?" I asked, more out of curiosity than concern. "Therapy, community service. Dad froze my trust fund until I prove I've changed." She gave a bitter laugh. "Rock bottom has a funny way of showing you who you really are." "I wish you all the best, Brooke," I said, meaning it, despite everything. "But we're done." "I know," she said softly. "Take the job, Jason. You deserve it." After we hung up, I sat watching the sunset paint the mountains in hues of gold. A text from my brother. "So, decision made, brother." I thought about Walter's offer, about starting over within the same company where everything had imploded, about seeing Brooke at corporate events, about the intricate politics that came with the position. Then I thought about the other offers that had trickled in since the scandal broke, from firms eager to capitalize on someone who had demonstrated integrity under pressure. The next morning, I called Walter. "I've made my decision," I told him. "I'm declining your offer, Walter." I said it as the morning light streamed through his office windows. "But I appreciate your faith in me." Walter Winters leaned back in his leather chair, his eyebrows raised. "May I ask why? It's a significant position with considerable influence." "Precisely," I replied, maintaining direct eye contact. "I'd be walking into a minefield of office politics. After everything that's happened, your board members would scrutinize my every move, wondering if I earned the position or if it's some form of guilt-ridden compensation." Walter nodded slowly. "You've given this considerable thought. So, what's next for Jason Hartley?" I slid a business card across his desk. "Hartley Financial Advisors, my own firm. I've secured initial funding from 3 investors who value integrity over quarterly profits." He picked up the card, examining it with a hint of respect. "A bold move, starting from scratch in this market. Sometimes you need to rebuild from the foundation," I said, "just like trust." Walter stood and extended his hand. "Well, you've certainly earned my respect. And while you may not be joining us directly, I'd like Winters Enterprises to be your first corporate client." We shook hands firmly, 2 men who understood each other, despite everything. As I made my final exit from the building, my phone rang. "Greg." "Well?" my brother said when I answered. "How'd the old man take your rejection?" "Better than expected," I replied, stepping out into the bright spring sunshine. "He signed on as my first major client." Greg's whistle was appreciative. "Playing the guilt card, huh? Smart move." "It's not about guilt," I corrected. "It's about recognizing value. Walter knows I won't compromise my principles. That's worth something in this industry." "Speaking of principles," Greg said, his tone shifting, "Brooke's been asking about you. Called me, can you believe it?" I felt nothing at the mention of her name. No anger, no longing, just a hollow echo. "What does she want?" "Claims she's changed. Therapy, volunteering, the whole redemption tour." "Good for her," I said sincerely. "Everyone deserves a second chance, just not with me." "That's what I told her," Greg confirmed. "Listen, I've got news too. That security consulting firm finally made me an offer. Partner track from day one." A genuine smile spread across my face for the first time in weeks. "About damn time they recognized your worth. We need to celebrate." "Already ahead of you," Greg chuckled. "Dinner tonight at Sullivan's. I even invited Haley Winters." I almost stumbled. "Brooke's sister? Why?" "Because she was instrumental in helping you build your case against Caldwell," Greg interjected, anticipating my question. "And because, unlike her sister, she has principles. And because she asked about you specifically." "Greg," I warned, "I'm not looking for anything, just dinner." "No pressure," he said innocently. "Professionals catching up." That evening at Sullivan's Steakhouse, I arrived early, a habit ingrained from my military days. The maitre d' led me to a secluded table in the back. Greg wasn't there yet, typical for my perpetually late brother. But Haley was, elegant in a simple black dress, her blonde hair swept up, a stark contrast to Brooke's always loose, dark curls. She stood when she saw me, her handshake firm. "I was starting to think you were going to stand me up," she said with a slight smile. "I thought my brother would be here," I replied honestly. Haley laughed softly. "Greg texted me 20 minutes ago, said he had a client emergency." "Of course he did." "Sorry for the deception. I can leave if you're uncomfortable." She gestured to the chair opposite her. "Unless you're afraid to have dinner with me." The challenge in her voice sparked something I hadn't felt in months, genuine interest. I'd expected awkwardness dining with Haley, given everything that had transpired with her sister. Instead, I found a refreshing directness. "Let's be honest," she said after we'd ordered. My sister betrayed you in every conceivable way. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted nothing to do with our family. I took a sip of water, considering my response. You're not your sister. No, she agreed. I'm not. My entire life, I've been compared to Brooke, the perfect daughter. The irony isn't lost on me. You helped build the case against Caldwell. That couldn't have been easy, I observed. Testifying against your sister's lover. Haley's expression hardened. He was dangerous. Not just to the company, but to Brooke herself. She was so infatuated, she couldn't see how he was using her. Our meals arrived, creating a brief pause in the conversation. When the waiter left, I decided to be completely upfront. I appreciate what you did, but I need to be clear. I'm not interested in revisiting anything with your family. The wounds are still fresh. Haley cut into her steak with precision. That's fair. But for the record, I didn't help with the case to win your favor. I did it because it was the right thing to do. We moved on to safer topics. Her work as an environmental lawyer, my plans for my new firm, a shared appreciation for hiking and classic films. By the time dessert arrived, I realized I was genuinely enjoying the evening. You mentioned starting your own firm, Haley said as we shared a chocolate souffle. My firm represents several environmental tech startups looking for ethical investment partners. Perhaps we could explore a professional collaboration. That sounds promising, I agreed. As we left the restaurant, the spring evening had turned unexpectedly cool. Haley shivered slightly in her light dress. Without thinking, I took off my jacket and draped it over her shoulders. She looked up, surprised. Thank you, Jason, she said softly. For dinner, for the jacket, and for not holding my sister's name against me. Thank you for reminding me that one person's actions don't define their entire family. I walked her to her car, maintaining a respectful distance. It wasn't a date, but it wasn't just a business dinner either. It existed in some undefined space that felt surprisingly comfortable. I have your card, she said, opening her car door. Those startups will be in touch next week. I look forward to it, I replied, handing her my new personal number. For professional purposes, of course. She smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. Of course. 2 weeks later, my new office space downtown was buzzing with activity. The Winters Enterprises account had brought in 3 more major clients, and Haley's environmental startups were exactly the ethical ventures I wanted to represent. My phone vibrated. A text from Haley. Your firm's launch party still on for Friday? I smiled, typing a reply. Absolutely. Strictly a professional gathering. Her response came quickly. Naturally. Just professionals celebrating new beginnings. And that's exactly what it was. A new beginning, built on the solid foundation of hard-learned lessons. 6 months after Hartley Financial Advisors opened its doors, my gamble was paying off. My downtown office housed 8 employees. We managed 15 major corporate accounts, and we had a waiting list of clients drawn to our reputation for ethical investing. On a Friday evening, our 6-month anniversary, I stood surveying the assembled clients, staff, and supporters. Greg approached, a glass of champagne in hand. Who would have thought my little brother would become the rising financial star of Boston? He teased, clinking glasses with me. Not Brooke, that's for sure, I replied with a smile that held no bitterness. Time had a way of turning pain into something strangely akin to gratitude. Without her betrayal, I might never have taken this leap. Speaking of the Winters women, Greg nodded towards the entrance, where Haley had just appeared. She wore an elegant emerald dress that highlighted the color of her eyes. She scanned the room until she spotted me. Our relationship had progressed cautiously over the past few months. Weekly business meetings had evolved into regular dinners, which had gradually morphed into something we hadn't quite defined yet. Professional boundaries remained important to us both. I need to go greet our newest client, I told Greg, who rolled his eyes dramatically. Still pretending it's just business? Whatever helps you sleep at night, little brother. I I navigated through the crowd towards Haley. She smiled warmly as I approached. "Congratulations, Jason," she said, accepting the champagne I offered. "This is quite a turnout." "The 3 environmental startups you connected us with all signed long-term contracts today," I informed her. "Your referrals account for 20% of our business." "Good investments are good investments," she shrugged. "I just pointed them in the right direction." We were interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Walter Winters had arrived, unexpectedly and unannounced. A hush fell over the room as he made his way towards us. "Jason," he greeted, shaking my hand with his usual firm grip. "Impressive turnout, Walter," I nodded. "I wasn't expecting you." His gaze flickered to Haley. An unspoken understanding passed between father and daughter. "Haley mentioned your anniversary. I thought I'd see this venture for myself." Since declining Walter's job offer, I'd maintained a strictly professional relationship with Winters Enterprises, communicating mostly through intermediaries. His presence tonight was significant. "And?" I asked, despite my own curiosity. "And I'm impressed," he admitted. "You've built something solid here. Something honest." Coming from Walter Winters, that was high praise indeed. "I have a proposition," he continued. "Not a job, I'm wiser than that now. A partnership between Hartley Financial and Winters Enterprises. Equal footing, separate operations, shared resources." I glanced at Haley, her slight nod confirming she was aware of the offer. "Why now?" I asked Walter directly. "Because you've proven you can build something from nothing," he replied candidly. "And because my daughter speaks highly of your integrity, both personal and professional." I considered the offer. Winters' resources could accelerate my firm's growth exponentially, but at what cost? "I need complete autonomy in investment decisions," I stated firmly. Walter nodded. "I wouldn't expect anything less." "And my name stays on the door. No corporate rebranding." "Agreed," Walter extended his hand. "Take the weekend to think it over. We'll discuss your decision on Monday." Monday morning dawned crisp and clear as I ran through the Boston Common, Walter's partnership offer turning over in my mind. I'd spent the weekend analyzing every facet, weighing the potential pitfalls and opportunities. After my run, I showered and dressed carefully in my best suit. Today wasn't just about Walter's offer. I had an offer of my own to consider. I arrived at Hartley Financial early, reviewing quarterly reports until the intercom buzzed. "Mr. Winters is here for his 9 o'clock, my assistant announced. Walter entered my office, every inch the corporate titan in his tailored suit. We exchanged pleasantries before getting down to business. "Have you considered my proposal?" he asked, settling into the chair opposite me. "I have," I replied, sliding a contract across the desk. "With a few amendments." Walter raised an eyebrow, but studied the document intently. 51% ownership remains with you, in perpetuity. Non-transferable upon retirement or death without board approval. Interesting. Non-negotiable, I stated calmly. He continued reading. Ethical investment clause, environmental sustainability commitments, profit sharing with employees. He looked up. "You're a tough negotiator, Jason." "I learned from the best," I replied with a slight smile. Walter closed the folder. "I accept your terms. We'll have the paperwork drawn up by the end of the week." We shook hands, and a sense of completion settled over me. Not because I'd won Walter's approval, but because I'd stayed true to my principles. As Walter was about to leave, he paused. "One more thing. Haley mentioned you have dinner plans tonight." I kept my expression neutral. "That's correct. She also mentioned it's your 6-month anniversary." A flicker of something softened Walter's stern features. "She seems happy." "So am I," I admitted, the words feeling right for the first time as I said them to her father. Walter nodded thoughtfully. "You've recovered well, Jason, professionally and personally. Not many men could have come back stronger after what happened." After he left, I opened my desk drawer and looked at the small velvet box inside. Not an engagement ring. We weren't there yet. But a single emerald pendant, the color of Haley's eyes. A symbol of something new, built on the hard-won lessons of the past. That evening, as Haley and I sat at our favorite restaurant overlooking the harbor, I reflected on the path that had led me here. The betrayal that had initially felt like an ending had, in fact, been the beginning of something authentic. A career built on integrity. A relationship founded on honesty. "You're quiet tonight," Haley observed, reaching across the table to touch my hand. "Second thoughts about partnering with my father?" I smiled, gently squeezing her hand. "No second thoughts. Just gratitude that sometimes the worst moments in life lead to the best outcomes. To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," she echoed, raising her glass. I clinked mine against hers. "And to the wisdom to recognize them when they arrive." The pendant would wait until dessert. Some moments deserved perfect timing,